My name is Sarika Sajja. I'm a service designer based in Atlanta at a company called NCR. And in today's video, I will be taking you through something called concept generation. So at this point in the process, you would have gone through ideating. And ideating, that's where you would be able to kind of, through various methods, come up with multiple different ideas and start to narrow them down. So in this video, I will be taking you through 3 activities, as you can see here, where you can narrow those ideas down even further and kind of start thinking from a different perspective until we come to concept refinement. So if I zoom in, we can get started. So in concept generation, I broke it down into these 3 activities. Activity 1 will be kind of narrowing down those ideas that you created during the ideation phase. And you can learn more through the ideation video that will be provided to you. So there are 3 columns, and of course these 3 columns, the number of columns depends on the number of people in the team. If your team has 3, then 3 columns would be perfect. If your team has 2, you would only need to use 2 columns. So here, step 1, choose a column and write your name at the top. So I will choose this column and I will write my name at the top. Each member of the team should write their name at the top of one column. The others will write their names at the top of the others. So from the ideation method mentioned in the previous video, begin importing photos of your ideas beneath your name, or simply write those ideas. Stickies are provided for you. So I will import an idea that I came up with, that I drew. I'm going to be using this light bulb to represent that idea. So I can either put these together, select everything, and if I can group these things together if needed, but I don't think I want to in this case. So I'll begin adding the images of my ideas, and this will be repeated throughout this video, but it's always better to have multiple ideas. That way you can narrow them down. So as myself and my other team members add their ideas, add images, illustrations, however they ideated, they add them here, we can move on to step 3. So once you and your team members are done adding your ideas, begin mixing and matching them with your teammates' ideas. And here I added a little example of how that could look following the same sticky note colors. So before I show you how to do it, here you can see team member 3 added this idea over to team member 1's idea. And same thing, you can see that there are multiple different ideas, and through this you'll be able to see how individually your ideas may have been good, but as you mix, match, combine them with other people's, you can build on that. It could maybe even lead to something else, and a new solution, a new idea that you just 100% love. So as you can see here, I will show you how to do it. I select this, and then I can move my idea. Oh, I think my idea number 1 goes really well with my teammate's idea 5. And then I think my idea number 2 can go really well with my teammate's idea number 4. And they do the same thing. You can do this individually, one at a time, kind of go through the process, see how your teammates are working through it, or you can do it at the same time, collaborate. And as I move my ideas around, they move their ideas around. And of course, you can double up on some ideas if needed, but it's all up to you guys. And so now as you guys are moving through this, you'll have multiple different ideas in multiple different places. So you'll want to be doing that, and that leads to step number 4, where after mixing and matching your team's ideas, briefly share your combinations, and after sharing, use the star icon to vote. It's called dot voting. You can basically vote as a team on the best ideas in each column. So I've locked everything else on the instructions, but if you select the star, you can copy that to your clipboard and be able to dot vote. So in this step, we will all be sharing. So I'll share where I put my ideas to my team, and I'll say, I think this idea goes really well with the one team member 2 created, and I'll explain why. I think this idea that I put together goes really well with this idea the team member 3 put together, and I can explain why, and they'll do the same. And here it should be a discussion because you guys are collaborating. So as I talk, I want to be able to let my team members kind of, they could shout out, hey, that's an awesome idea. I think we should keep that in mind when we're starring things. Or they could wait until after. It could be an informal presentation if you guys wanted to, but ultimately the way you discuss and share is all up to you. So now we can think about that star I copied, and after everyone goes through and explains their idea combinations with others, we can begin voting. As each person will copy the star icon and paste it, and we could start discussing, hey, I think the combination of this idea and your idea is a home run. I think we should definitely star that. If someone disagrees, start talking about it. Figure out why you think it's a good idea and why they may disagree. And this is where collaboration is key all the time. This is where you can gain insight from their perspective. They can gain insight from yours. And eventually you will have 3 ideas marked as a star, and you will want to move forward with those ideas. So those will be your starred ideas, your starred combinations. And that moves us over to how might we's. And in the same, how might we's are beneficial statements that, if you keep them vague, they kind of guide you to the solution. They kind of trigger your brain into thinking, okay, how might we do this with this? How might we get this done if we do this? How might we use this to benefit this group of people, this concept, anything? So they kind of trigger different perspectives on how to think of your initial ideas and concepts. So here, same idea. You'll be writing your name, each of your names on the top of each column. And you can always add some statements if you want. Just select the sticky notes and copy them and write more statements. But here, if we go on to step number 6, using the start ideas from earlier, start writing some of the how might we statements that can point to solutions. So since there's 3, each of us can choose one of the starred combinations and begin writing statements about that. So I really liked these 2 statements combined. I'm going to copy those, bring them over for reference, paste them here. That way I don't have to continuously move back and forth. And like I mentioned, these things aren't locked, so I can move sticky notes anywhere I want. I don't have to use this particular layout. I can use it the way it benefits me. So I think, okay, this idea works really well. And if I continue using this example of a light bulb, let me say, how might we use light to, I'm going to keep it simple, how might we use light to benefit something else? And I could continue with that statement. How might we use, and I don't even have to be that direct. I can be even more vague, more imaginative when thinking of these ideas, because they will trigger a concept subconsciously. They'll enable you and your team members to start thinking outside of the box, like I mentioned, and start thinking from a very solution-focused perspective. So I have multiple different how might we statements for this. But hey, while I was writing these, I thought of another idea combination. I wrote one, let me just add it to someone else's idea. If my team member copied this and put it down here, I can just add it and say, hey, I just thought of a statement for this idea. I'm just going to add it here. We should definitely discuss it later on. So as each of us are writing out our statements, we can move on to the next step, which once again, dot voting. And this is where you're able to share your how might we statements as well as vote on the top 3 across the board. So after writing out the statements, begin discussing the statements to select the best one overall. And that way we get back into the collaboration, mode, and we start having conversations, discussing, sharing our perspectives and our insight. So we can copy the star icon, and as each of my team members wrote some how might we statements, as a group we can begin voting. Hey, I think this how might we statement is an awesome idea. How can we keep that moving forward? They'll vote on, and as a group, you're going to want to vote on the best ones overall. So now you have 3 how might we statements that are considered the best. And that can bring us to the next step, which is discussing these questions to narrow down each of the statements into a single concept. Because we have kept these statements vague, through our imagination, through collaboration, through gaining insight from different perspectives, we should be able to think of where's the overlap, if there is any, or which question do we like the most. So we have these as our top 3. And here, I brought them all here. We can copy and move them over here. And these 2 steps are kind of similar. Here we have 3 statements. And through conversation, we have narrowed it down to 1. Either 1 question or 1 concept. One of the words could have triggered one of you guys and made you think of another solution. This is our single concept. And what's interesting is that Mural allows us to kind of present these to each other, collaborate in a very interesting way. So I just dragged and dropped a line from this menu bar on the side. I could keep it straight, I could make it curvy, I could change the thickness of the line, and I can show, hey, these ideas I'm going to make it fun. So these ideas, they led to this single concept. And here we can start explaining, you can even copy and paste a line. Here we can explain, okay, this single concept, this single how might we, let's refine that. What do we need to make it real? What do we need to do? What needs to be thought of to make it real? So copy the sticky note and start writing, okay, hey, we need to keep this particular thing in mind. So this could be thing 1. Hey, but let's think of it from this aspect. So here you can start, refining that concept and moving forward with it. And that will lead you into the prototyping phase of everything. If any of you guys have any questions, let us know. But otherwise, there are instructions on this Miro board, as well as the template. So you should be able to move things around and utilize the board and its capabilities the way you all want. So happy collaborating.